Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and an international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 79 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can join our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community, and never miss an episode by subscribing wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, Himalaya app, the Google Play Music app, available on Pandora, and check out our YouTube channel, Life Transformation Radio Community. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. Also, I ask that you leave us a rating and a review to let us know how well we're doing. Clarice Gomez calls our show an awesome podcast, highlighting all aspects of podcast, business, entrepreneurship, and is a can't-miss podcast. So thank you to Clarice Gomez, who left a review. Artistic World calls us a beast of a show and is an absolute monster when it comes to the value that is provided here. So thank you to everybody who leaves rating and reviews on our show. Our guests that we bring here are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing people impacting the world around them. And my guest today has done exactly that and continues to change the world where she operates. If you have any questions for the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, call us up and talk to the guest at 657-383-1109. Again, if you have any questions, please enter it in the chat box or connect with us on the show. Call us up at 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my guest for today, Rachel Augusta. Rachel, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I am excited to have you on the show. I've been looking forward to this just because of the content that we're going to talk about today, which is something you are the first to have this content on my show. And I can think of no other person better suited to talk about this topic, about the holistic animal work that you do, about animal abuse and trauma, and the work that we can do, as humans.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we met at New Media Summit, if I remember right.
We did. Yep, we met at New Media Summit. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, and just 2 weeks prior to this, my deployment baby. So being in the military, we always have dogs, and I got this particular dog because I was having some issues coming from deployments and transitioning back, and so she's not like a service dog, but she has training. But either way, she was like, that was my love, and for a decade, she was with me, and then she passed away about 2 weeks before the event. And when I met you, I'm like trying to keep it together on stage, like you're telling us about what you do. And then here I am trying to keep it together. And I was like, my dog died, like
it's horrible.
Oh, it was so bad. Yeah, it was. And I was like, but I was like, I have to have you on the show. Like, I have to have you on the show. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is that people really underestimate the love and the grief that happens when we lose these people. I consider dogs, cats, people. These people we have in our lives. They are our best friends, and they're our support system. And so when they die, the dog, the cat, whoever this really important animal is in our life that we'd normally go to comfort ourselves with is gone. And it's so isolating. And so I can imagine that, it's the loss of her probably had so many layers to it, because not only was she your support animal, but she was an era, and she knew things about you that nobody else knew. And she was able to hold that space for you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, she was there for me. She held that. Right. So as I transitioned from the alcohol abuse and the suicide and she was on the tail end of it all, so she was on the tail end of that. And it's significant because I was wondering, like, am I going to regress? Am I going to go backwards? Whatever. And it was like 2 or 3 years after like that transformational moment. It was about 2 or 3 years later that I got the dog. I was like, this is it. This is what I need. Like, and so she always, like, she slept with us. Every trip that we would go on, I live in North Carolina, go to my mom's house in Michigan. She was on a trip with us. She went with me everywhere. I got pictures of us traveling everywhere. And my whole family, she was on our Christmas cards, like Merry Christmas from all of our family and Lacey.
Yeah, because they are family.
Dog on the right, absolutely. Yeah. They're not a pet. Like it's part of your family. And she would come and lay on my chest. If we're watching TV, she would come and lay her head on my chest. She was about a 60-some-odd pound dog, and she would come out on the couch and like lay her head on my chest, and we'd watch TV together. Like, she was my best friend, And then, so we're gonna get into all that and whatnot. But what I really want to discuss with you is the work that you do, and combining that holistic approach as humans to animals. So let's dive into what you do and your brilliance. I titled this episode Holistic Animal Work with Rachel Augusta. Rachel was featured by the New York Times, CNN, BBC, and was on the cover of People magazine. Hopefully you framed it. Rachel works with animals all over the world who are sick, injured, have a terminal illness, or suffer from age-related issues, or suffers from trauma due to previous abuse. She's a certified Advanced Proficiency Healing Touch for Animals practitioner, which is the highest certification in this field. She has her own practice, works in hospitals, vet clinics, rehab facilities, and shelters. Rachel's business was featured in a best-selling Hay House published book, Women Rocking Business. She has been interviewed by the International Animal Protection Organization in Defense of Animals, has been interviewed on numerous podcasts and radio shows, and is a keynote speaker at various festivals, events, colleges, workshops, spreading her message about the importance of preventative healthcare. You can look at her website, Rachel Augusta, which is AUGUSTA, rachelaugusta.com. There's a membership site there. Her LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and her YouTube page are right there in the show notes. You can connect with her, send her a message, subscribe to her YouTube channel, and tell her that you listened to her episode of Life Transformation Radio. So with that said, I have to know why. What is your deep why for what you do?
Yeah. Thank you. So my deep why is similar and completely different than, your story with Lacey. But I had my own animal companion, and I refer to her often as my soul companion because she knew me on that level. and mine was a cat named Holly, and she was with me through all of the good times and all of the bad times. And she flew with me all over the United States, actually. And she moved with me from Hollywood to Minnesota, and knew my life in Hollywood as a circus sideshow vaudeville performer, and was the only person who knew me later in Minnesota as, somebody trying to make it in the office world, as a retired performer. And so she was with me through my breakups. She was with me through these major life transformations. And she was with me through a lot of loneliness and sadness. I'd moved from LA, where life was, booming and hopping, happening, and just like this exciting life.
Fast, yeah.
And fast, fun, jazz life. And then I moved to Minnesota. And when I moved to Minnesota at the age of 30, I immediately became an old spinster, because everybody here was married and had kids. But nobody in Hollywood had that sort of life. So all of a sudden, I became this old, lonely spinster in Minnesota. So she was with me through this major life transformation. And when she got really sick about 4 years after moving here, the vet just basically said, she's old. She's had a good life. She's going to die soon. I gave her a couple of weeks.
Jeez.
And the vet had such a, kind of cold and terrible bedside manner, delivering this blow that your cat's dying, that it threw me into this fierce protector mode, that I'm not sure I would have had the vet been much more loving and graceful. It's because she came at me with such, with so little love and care, that I knew in that moment, if anybody was going to try and help Holly, it was going to have to be me. And so I immediately just started trying to figure out what I could do. But obviously I was racing time, and I didn't have time to go to school and become a veterinarian myself. And interestingly, somebody I knew, not a close friend, just someone I knew who had no idea that Holly was even sick, sent me an email that was like, have you heard of the school? These people, you learn how to work with animals and build up their immune systems. I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. And they were going to be it's a school that's based in Colorado, Healing Touch for Animals. They were going to be in Minnesota, within the next week or two. I was like, oh my God, this is what I need. And I signed up. And I immediately started using the techniques, which was what it is essentially, is getting the body to relax so deeply that the brain and the body start working with one another to build up the immune system instead of against itself. So I started applying these techniques and using them with Holly, and it was immediate. The responses her body started to have were immediate. And she was given 2 weeks to live, and she lived an additional 3 years.
Wow.
And it was amazing. And it wasn't just surviving. She was thriving. And because everybody has an animal, all my friends have animals. I have a ton of friends who do rescue. Everybody then was like, oh my God, here's my bunny. Here's my dog. Here's my horse. Here's my, it was like my house just became an office clinic. And so this was not ever in my plan to be my job. This was never my plan. My plan was actually I was in the process of trying to start a manufacturing company for women's clothing. And all of a sudden I was working day and night helping animals. And it was in all areas, beagles that were being rescued from animal testing, and just anybody you can possibly imagine, they started coming to me, and I had to take a step back and go, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to start charging people. Otherwise I'm going to be homeless, because this is all I'm doing.
Well, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so it was one of those, I didn't find it found me situations. And a lot of people go through this training to work with animals, but not a lot of people end up making it their career. And I think the reason is because, well, just like anything, we start to wonder, am I good enough? Will this work?
Mm-hmm.
Can I actually do this? Am I meant to do this? But I didn't have those luxuries with Holly. I was racing time. I didn't have any moment that she was with me to question whether or not I was doing the right thing, because it was the only thing that was available to her.
Got it. Man, there's so many times, like I can just, I'm sure you can too. Just so many times where you can name, like, you know, my sister's horse, you know, colicking, you know, and I think that's what it's called. Starts rolling around and trying to, like, I don't know, something gets untwisted or something like that, whatever, and then boom, dies.
Yeah, the stomach turns and they can die almost immediately.
Yep. And that's what happened to the horse. It was suffering. It was like twisting or whatever, trying to, like, wiggle around and try to get something, whatever, and then died. I'm like, oh Jesus! And then
it's terrible.
My sister and then my other sister took her dog into the vet. Was like, why is it done not eating? It was like, well, her stomach's twisted. I'm like, geez, what is it with this thing? And then I have another friend whose dog, you know, just got sick, you know, and like had a tumor. I'm like, how? Like, it's like 5 years old. I'm like, how? You know, so.
Right.
Look at it to do with any of that. My dog, you know, it was about 11 years old. It was 11 years old. And I'm like, probably could have been another like 2 or 3 years. Like, I don't know, but she started like declining, didn't really want to do much, you know, couldn't really jump on the bed anymore. You know, I was like, really? Like, you're only 11? Like, really? You know, but I don't know. You know, she I mean, she was so happy, but started getting sick, and she started, like, you know, all that. So I could totally, just, you never know. But
you never know.
It just shows that there are stuff that you can do. You know, people, what hurts is that, oh, it's a $5,000 surgery, I might as well put the dog down. You don't do that to your mom or to your grandma or to another sibling, right? But we do it to pets.
Yeah, it's horrible. You know, the thing is that I'll say this. I love Western medicine. Thank God we have it. You know, if you're in a car accident and your bones are all broken, you need to go to the hospital. If you've been stabbed and your guts are hanging out, you need to go to the hospital. That's not time for acupuncture or chiropractor or energy work. Like, exactly. Go to the hospital. Yeah. So, and I love vet clinic. Like, thank God we have them. But the truth is that, you know, it's not the only thing. And for a very long time, we've just considered it the only thing. And, you know, one of my specialties is cancer. And I was working with a cancer researcher, and he was like, you know, Rachel, when you scratch your hand, dead skin cells fall off, and your body knows to regenerate new ones, and your body knows when to stop regenerating new skin cells. But no biologist can answer how. Just remember, that's where we are with Western medicine. And I always think about that. And so, you know, with Holly's vet saying, well, she's old, she's going to die. And, you know, I have a lot of people come to me all the time and say, my vet said that there's nothing that can be done, that I need to euthanize my animal. And I think the truer statement is there's nothing more that they can do. And that's always what we need to remember. And so there are times, you know, when really it is someone's time to go. And there are times when it really is like we really do need to perform surgery. But a lot of times people aren't given another option. They're not shown that there's a different thing that can possibly help. And, you know, I have so many animals that come to me whose, you know, humans are told, like, I have to have this major back surgery on my dog that's going to cost $6, $8, $10,000. And, you know, and they told me I have to do it this week. And we do a couple of sessions and we relieve pain in the body, and the animal is fine and they never needed surgery. And it didn't cost them $10,000. It cost them a couple $100, you know? And so it's unfortunate because not a lot of animals have health insurance. And, you know, and a lot of this stuff can be prevented and some of it can't. And so, you know, a lot of times people are like, what is holistic healthcare? What does that really mean? What are you actually really trying to do? And it's like, well, we're trying to get the body to work, which I know you know a lot about this. Like, how can we get your body working at its optimum? Like, how can we get your body and brain working with itself? And how can we trigger the physiological relaxation response? And so, a lot of times with animals, if they have arthritis, if they have cancer, it doesn't matter. We want to be triggering this in everyone, animal, human. It doesn't matter how old or young you are. You want to be triggering the physiological relaxation response in your body. And what that means is when you're happy or when you're relaxed, your brain creates endorphins, which relaxes your muscles. And when your muscles are relaxed, your blood becomes oxygenated. And then all of a sudden, your stomach can create digestive enzymes, your hormones regulate, your body detoxes, and new cell growth happens. That is the key. We want new cell growth, whether your animals are on chemo or not, whether they have some sort of tumor or arthritis, whatever it is. We want their blood to be oxygenated so that we can get their hormones to regulate, so that we can get new cell growth. And that, that's why if you go to the doctor with a broken arm, they ask you what your pain level is. They're not asking because they feel bad for you that you're in pain. They're asking because they need to prescribe you a medicine based on that pain. And if you say, I'm at a 2, they're going to go, okay, well, here's an Advil. And if they say 10, they're going to go, okay, well, let's look at Percocet. They want to trigger that response in the body. And, and that's how a lot of people end up addicted to Percocets, because they're in so much pain and it's the only thing that can relieve it. And so if we can get this going naturally in animals, we can prevent a lot of these diseases or injuries or pull them out of it without these crazy expensive surgeries. Or, a lot of the medications that they want to put them on end up breaking down the organs. So if we can do this naturally, we don't have to put them on a bunch of medicine. They don't have to have surgeries. And, the colics with horses, that's such a terrible thing. And once it starts, it's serious and you have to act on it quick. But they've been able to even tie that. A lot of that colic happens when the biometric atmosphere changes and the minerals change in the air and in their food. And, and it's like, okay, well, how can we set these animals and ourselves up for success to prevent this? And, and that's really, whenever somebody says to me, like, my dog was diagnosed with cancer, what can I do? My first thought is, okay, well, how can we relieve pain in their body? And oh, no, do you think they're in pain? Well, of course they're in pain. They have cancer. But, that would be painful, right? But don't focus on that. Let's just think, like, if you had cancer, would it hurt, somehow feel uncomfortable in your body? And how could we make you not feel uncomfortable? And so because we want to be triggering that response, that physiological relaxation response in the body. And it's amazing because animals are not invested in being sick. And that's why Holly, my cat, was able to, like, almost miraculously, she was given a couple weeks to live, almost miraculously pull herself out of it and live an additional 3 years. And I see this so much with so many animals, because if an animal has, let's say, an injured back and you go, here, I'm going to help you feel better. They're like, oh, great. That's awesome. Thank you. And with a human, if they have an injured back, you're like, here, I'm going to give you something that makes you feel better. And you're like, yeah, but this other thing is going on with me. Humans are just a little bit more difficult to heal because we are a little bit more invested in our aches and pains and keeping them there.
Well, definitely. I'd say so. Yeah. And it just, I don't know. I don't like it when they're like, oh, well, we're just have to put the dog down. Like that's not easy.
No.
For me,
I agree.
For me.
No, I agree. And I feel like more people need to hear, like, you have options, like you said, and also you have time to think about it. And so many people, I actually, this last week was on the phone with a woman in her 80s who was sobbing uncontrollably because her veterinarian had convinced her that she had to euthanize her dog, and because her dog, needed it that day, and that basically she was a bad person if she wasn't doing it. So she did it. fell into immediate trauma and grief because she knew that she didn't make the right decision, but felt bullied, called her best friend, who I know is another client of mine, who called me and was like, can you get on the phone and talk with my friend who's in her 80s and living in Santa Fe, because the veterinarian convinced her to euthanize her dog, and the dog really didn't need to be euthanized. She just needs some medical care. And it happens actually a lot, you know, and again, thank God for veterinarians, like, but people need to know they have options and they have time to think about it. If you, right. You know, I have a client whose dog had cancer in his leg, and her veterinarian said, I don't recommend amputation because of the dog's age. And so I recommend that we euthanize. And, you know, like you, like me, this dog was her best friend, family member. She was not prepared to make that decision right away. So she went home, called me, and said, my gut is telling me to amputate, not euthanize. And I was like, then you need to listen to your gut, not me or your veterinarian. And she said, okay. Right. And so they scheduled a surgery, amputated the leg. I did a session with the dog like an hour after the surgery. And within 4 hours, he was out at the park playing Frisbee. And he's doing brilliantly a couple months later.
Wow. No way.
Yeah, it happens
That's
a lot.
awesome.
I'll tell you an even more like crazy story. So this is probably like 6 years ago now. This woman called me and said, okay, so here's the deal. My dog had a fatty tumor in her stomach, a 14-year-old golden retriever, which by the way is really old for a golden retriever these days. And it went hard. And when I was at work, she tried to eat it out of her stomach. I came home and I found her.
What?
The dog tried to remove the tumor herself while she was at work.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I figured you could take the story because you're former military. Military.
That's gotta be painful.
Yeah, horrible. But you know, this actually isn't uncommon. Animals are like, I know this is not supposed to be here. I need to get it out. And so the animal, her dog, tried to eat the tumor out herself. And she found her in a pool of her blood, unsuccessful, scoops her up, rushes her to the ER vet after work. The ER vet's like, oh my God, it's in her stomach. If I operate, I'm going to kill her because of the location. And because of her age, I can't, my hands are tied. I can't do anything. And, I think we need to euthanize, or I'm going to send you home with morphine and you can let her die at home with you. And she said, okay, give me the morphine. Like, this is all too traumatic. I just got home from work and I'm not prepared. And so she sent her home with morphine. This woman called me and was like, this is what happened. Is there anything I can do? And I was like, well, what we can do is offer her pain relief. So let's just do that and we'll see what happens. Sean, this dog, I have pictures to prove it because it's so shocking. This dog miraculously healed within a week. The bruising is insane around her stomach. And within a week, it's pretty much gone. We did 2 sessions and then she ended up living an additional 2 years. Again, thriving.
Wow.
Out playing Frisbee and stealing balls from her neighbors. And she wasn't, sitting on a pillow in the corner of the room, not moving. She was playing. And it happens a lot. Again, though, sometimes it is their time to go. When it was Holly's time to actually go, it was her time to go. And I knew it was her time to go because we can't heal age. And at that point she was 20 and, and sometimes animals are really ready. But that's not always the case. And I think people need to know that. And I always tell, people who go through my classes or courses, know who your team is before your animals get sick. Know who your holistic team is. Know who your Western medicine team is. Know who they are, so that when things happen, you can reach out.
Yeah. Do people have to like be there with you, like in person, or how does it is it like an over the phone thing, or like how does that work?
Yeah, no, I have clients all over the world. I have clients in Australia and translators for me in Lithuania, and so I work with people all over the world. And and we Skype or talk on the phone, and for consultations, it doesn't matter if the animal's in the same room or not. A lot of what we do is coaching the human on what might be happening in the house that might be contributing to the illness. Toxic chemicals. A lot of people don't think about that. If an animal has, arthritis, what are some things that they can be doing? And that's really what my membership site is for as well. I have a membership site where I really help the humans in that site, make their homes basically a really healthy spa for them and for themselves and their animals to prevent these illnesses.
Got it. That's very cool.
Thank you.
That's awesome, man. Well, you're going to be my call whenever my dog starts doing the same old stuff. When I got her in 2012, she was, let's see. So we got the dogs around the same time because I was like, well, I need another dog and, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this other dog I have was an actual, like a military working dog, has military training, all that stuff,
Yeah.
So that
the
was
purple
cool.
ribbon.
And yep. So she was born in 2012, and I have her now. And if I go another 10 years, like I did with this other one, then it's going to be 2022, which is in 2 years, which is nothing. It's 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like nothing. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. So now I'm like, well, how often do I need to walk the dog, and what kind of food do I need?
Right.
But I feed. I mean, her diet's not great. I feed her a lot of food that I eat.
Mm-hmm.
She loves bacon, so I give her some pieces, not like a whole strip, but I give her a little bit of bacon, a little bit of eggs. She eats breakfast with me, same thing I used to do. So now I had this moment where I'm like, did I kill my dog? Because maybe it's not a healthy eating diet, whatever. But I don't know.
Well, a lot of it's diet, and I'm actually not a nutritionist, but I follow a lot of nutritionists for animals, and actually went to a holistic vet conference, and they said, one of the main nutritionists there said, just by adding a handful or two of greens to your animals' diets, I can't remember if it was a week or a day, extends their life by 2 years. Which I thought was just phenomenal, because dogs are omnivores, they're omnivores, so they love green beans, they love any of that sort of stuff. It's really good for their heart health, and
really?
Especially if they're eating bacon and eggs. Yeah, and so I would throw some greens in her little. Do you have a girl?
Yeah, green bean,
green beans, broccoli. Oh yeah, dogs love it, and it's really good for their teeth. Yeah, and in a major study, they said it can extend their life by 2 years, and just by adding greens to their diet. Yeah, and so that's probably what I would do. But a lot of it is, a lot of people ask me, if I'm not working with you privately, what can I do in my house? And this is what I tell everybody. Some really simple things to put on your radar of what might be contributing to illness in the house. And this is for humans as well, but it's much worse for animals. Are candles, incense, Glade plugins. A lot of people don't realize it, but candles, any fragrance, it's highly toxic, highly cancer causing. 70% of households, super cancer causing. There's actually a great documentary on Netflix and other places called Stink, S-T-I-N-K. And this documentary really focuses on humans and how it impacts humans. But I'm going to tell you, it's 40 times worse for dogs. So humans have 10 million neuron receptors associated with smell. A cat has 80 million, and a dog has 400 million. 400 million neuron receptors associated with smell. And so, when you walk into the mall and you're in one of those big, huge malls and you're like, let's say in Macy's or Nordstrom's, you immediately know when you're like getting near the perfume section or cologne section.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, I'm on the right floor. I'm on the same floor. Imagine being like at the peak of that smell and then making it 40 times worse and then locking yourself in a closet with it for like every single day of your life. That is essentially what we're doing to our animals. And it breaks down their nervous system and it causes them cancer. And so getting those things out of the house are major. And when people come to me and they say things like, my animal's really super sick, but nobody can diagnose them. We have no idea what's going on. That is usually always the issue, that they are living in a house with Glade plugins, incense, candles. The other, or something really stinky like that. And the other red flag for me is when people come to me with animals who are really sick where it doesn't make sense, like a 4-year-old Chihuahua that's in heart failure. A 4-year-old Chihuahua shouldn't be in heart failure. And so, or a 2-year-old dog that has lymphoma. Right. A 2-year-old, a toddler, a baby no, that shouldn't happen. And then we start looking at what's going on in the house and it's like, you burn Yankee candles all day long. We got to get them out of here. And a lot of times too, people come to me with cats where cats will drastically drop their weight. Like a 20-pound cat is all of a sudden a 10-pound cat within a month or two, which is not normal. It's not good for them. I'll go into the house or, I'll start inquiring and asking questions if we're not in the same area. And it always boils down to these things. We get it out of the house and the animal is able to heal.
So I should probably get rid of my Sensies then, because I have Sensi in like every room.
Get rid of the Sensies. 100%
How do you keep your house
rid of them.
fresh then?
Oh my gosh, this is why. You want to know what? I was at the Holistic Vet Conference, and they're like, if you tell them this, people are going to ask, how do you keep your house smelling fresh? So this is what I would
Otherwise,
recommend.
it smells like dog.
Oh,
it smells like dog.
exactly.
I got 2 rabbits that stink. Like,
okay. So this is.
First of all, I did not know that rabbits stink this bad or fling their pee everywhere. So they're against the wall, and my wall is covered in piss. Like,
right.
Like these
what is going
like, we got
on?
Them for Easter.
Oh my God.
We got them for Easter. And dwarf rabbits. And my kids freaking have them, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm looking at this like, okay, so first of all, they're flinging their pee everywhere. I'm like, what kind of rabbit does that? It's crazy, Yeah, we play with them, we hang out, whatever. My dog jumps up to see them, whatever.
Yeah.
However, if I don't do anything about it, all I smell is ammonia all day long.
Yeah. So this is what I would do.
Then it's intolerable.
Yeah, so this is what I would do because people are like, oh, my God, but what about sage? Is sage dangerous? No, because sage comes from a plant. It's made from a plant. So any plant-made smells are going to be okay. I personally use and have used in my practice and have been professionally trained to use essential oils. But I will say this, not all essential oils are created equal. There's only one company that says it's actually safe to use around animals, and they have a veterinary team. And they have essential oils that actually kill black mold and these smells that you're actually describing, ammonia and all of that. And it's Young Living. Oh. And so I can personally email you a link, but I actually wrote a blog post on this because that's why. Like, you're like, oh, my God, if I don't have these candles, if I don't have Glade plugins, then my house smells. There's a way around it. It's just you want to use plant-made scent, not man-made fragrance. And so, and this would be, these candles are really bad for you too, Sean. And I really highly encourage you and your listeners to listen to Chop Stink. And so it really will clue you into how dangerous it is to have them in the house. And actually, I just posted something about this on my Facebook page. They're saying it's like basically putting your head behind airplane diesel. Like it's so bad for you. So Yeah. So, Young Living,
Never
they're
guessed.
essential oils. Yeah, they're essential oils, but this is a hot topic because people are like, essential oils kill your animals. And it's like, well, not all essential oils are created equal. Some of them are made with man-made fragrance. So you want to use a company that says it's safe to use around animals, which Young Living is the only company who does that. So I'll send you a link,
Right.
and I'll give you some hot tips for specifically urine and bunny smell. Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a big, huge cage. I have two of the rabbits. It's a big
Mhm.
cage, real long rectangle cage. They run around all day.
Mhm.
We used to tuck them in a corner, but then we kind of moved our house around a little bit. So, right as you walk in the front door, you turn to the right, and oh look, a bunny cage.
Mhm.
And it's the
Are
first
they
thing people
bonded?
smell, and I didn't even think about that. Are they?
Are your two bunnies
Uh,
bonded? Are they friendly with each other?
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. 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 Well, bunnies can be super territorial, and a lot of times people will have to keep them separate. But I'm assuming yours came from the same litter, or they were
They
babies
did.
together.
They came from the
Yeah.
same litter. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So.
I couldn't get one. They can't get one rabbit. Then it's like boring, and it's locked in a cage, and it's like right. So
Yeah.
I always believe that you need like a partner, like you need like a partner in
Mhm.
crime. You have to have somebody,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I couldn't just get one rabbit. I had to get two.
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's good because everybody needs a friend. I have a cat now,
Yep.
Sugar Pants, and she's super territorial. Female cats are, and I'm trying to convince her that she wants a friend, but she's like not listening to me. But I'm like, no, seriously, it'll make you a lot happier to have someone else to talk to besides me all day long. But
Right.
cats are really hard to integrate. Really difficult. Female cats are really super
I
super
cannot
difficult to
stand
integrate.
cats. They're mean. Cats are
You know what they
mean.
say? That is not true. And you know what they say? Every dictator has hated cats, and it's because cats are not easily pushed around. And so
Oh
cats
wow.
are not mean. They are love. They are joy. They're actually the biggest snuggle bugs, but you
No.
have to get to know them. Like you have to live with one to
No.
know.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
They've just
I
been
dated a girl who had a white smushed face cat, real hairy
a
thing.
Persian. Yeah.
Persian cat. Yeah, this thing was ridiculous. This thing was absolutely ridiculous. Like it would try to get out of the house all the time. I'm like, I'm just gonna let your freaking butt outside. But we always try to like, don't let him out. Like, like if you're going out the door, like he would jump on you to try to like jump out the window, like on the patio or whatever. I was leaving one time and he was like screaming at me. I swear this cat was like screaming at me. We had packed the bag. We were going to leave. He takes a crap in the sink, like takes a dump, like in the sink. Like, what are you doing? And then it's like screaming at us. I'm like, this cat
Because
is
he
ridiculous.
was trying to explain to you he was very upset that you were leaving.
Yeah, well, you know what? I got time for that. I got to go. And he's got a litter box for a day and a half. He can suck it up for a day and a half. And then,
maybe he was like, this is bull honky. I should be going on this trip with you. I was the man in her life before you ever were, Sean.
Number one, reason I will not get a cat. This is by far the number one reason. Okay, and I'm gonna have to extend a little time on this show for this. Okay, this is okay. I am not gonna get a cat because we're laying in bed. And it's 3:00 in the morning, and I hear ooh, 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 ooh. I'm like, oh my god. Like, you ever want to wake up out of a dead sleep? Wake up to a cat ready to cock up a hairball and throw up. All I hear is ooh, 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 and then I hear it go, and I'm like, no. And then in the dark, I'm trying to find it, and I step in it. I'm like, oh, I hate this cat. I hate this cat. And it would like throw up on the floor, and it would like hairball everywhere, and I'm like, oh my god, like. I don't have.
Well,
I think
cats.
The dog stuff me and don't have an issue.
I think cats are the bomb. I actually believe that cats are here on this planet living with us to help tear down the patriarchy. I believe that they're here to say, I think you'll appreciate this since you're a former military. You know what I love about cats? So by the way, I trained in Krav Maga. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it, but it was used with the Israeli military, and it's hand-to-hand combat. And what I love about cats is no matter what your size is, like they're little and we're giants and we're scared of them. And I'm like, that is amazing. I want those skills. And that's a lot of Krav Maga was created because they wanted people to not have to be this huge trained military, guy to be able to defend themselves. No matter what your size is, you can defend yourself if you should need to. That's what Krav is all about.
Right.
And I see so many of the moves while we're doing it. I'm like, this is what my cat does. This is exactly how my cat lays on her back to kick my butt if she needs to. And when I'm really harassing her, and I'm like, I feel like cats and Krav Maga go hand in hand. And so a lot of times when I'm at home, I'm like, teach me that one move. I'm asking my cat, can you help me practice this move I learned in Krav Maga the other day? And so, yeah, that's why I love cats.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm sick with the dogs, but that's just me. So,
yeah.
So we got to wrap up the show. If somebody wants to work with you, if they have an animal, how can they do that? How can they work with you? And what's the best way?
Yeah, reach out to me through my website. They can book a free consultation. We hop on the phone and basically I listen to everything that's been going on with your animal. We brainstorm out some issues, whether you work with me or not. I'll help you kind of start getting stuff turned around in the home, help talk you through diagnosis or things that your vet has told you. And then we kind of decide, where to go from there. People can also, if they go to my website, I have a free download Audible that's a healing. It basically helps humans and their animals fall into a deep, relaxed state to trigger that physiological relaxation response that I was discussing. And they can check out my membership site. But it's everything at my website leads to those places.
There you go. Love it. Absolutely awesome. Nobody cried today, so we did good.
Yeah. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sean.
Absolutely. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting some of the most powerful and emotional parts of our lives with our fur babies. So with that, go to her website, Rachel Augusta, Augusta, RachelAugusta.com. The membership site, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube is right there in the show notes. Follow her, connect with her, subscribe to her YouTube channel, and send her a message letting her know that you listened to her episode of Life Transformation Radio. And with that, I close the show by saying, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until the next episode, live a great life.